Audio up. Sorry about that, I forgot to turn the audio on. Are we up? Looks green. Audio. Yes. Up and running. T-0. Today it's a Sunday morning here, and yesterday was overcast. Today is bright, beautiful sunshine. And when I tried to set the camera up outside, the sun was shining right bang in the lens. So we turned it the other way this morning. It's a little bit quieter in this direction. You can't see the crisscross street, but I have no choice. I tried to do it this way, and I just got a big glare right in the lens. So this way it goes the other way. Maybe later in the spring and in the summer, the sun will be higher at this time of day. It'll be okay. But right now, it's not possible to shoot the other way on a sunny day. So down at the far end, right where that gentleman's walking, is the Don Quixote store. You can see the red lettering a little bit. And the next door's restaurant, the Kakigoya restaurant, the Oyster Shack, they have a patio, and they've got a rain plastic thing that covers from the rain, and it blows in and out. So we'll see the left-hand side here. I can't control that. So anyway, as usual, we'll just let it sit while I get to work. I also did a little bit of research on the sound issues. That I thought we were having sound issues. I couldn't get the sound from the outside camera there to mix into our system, and I assumed that it was my fault that we couldn't mix more than one audio track. It turns out it's a limitation built into that kind of a camera. It's a consumer grade camera, a little handy cam, and it has an HDMI output. And if you, for example, record something on the camera, video and sound, then connect it with HDMI to a TV set or something, it will play back the video and audio. It plays back your movie. But if it's on standby, like it is now, or in record mode while it's actively recording, it doesn't pass through the audio down the HDMI cable. And this is to avoid feedback. If you're recording something and you've got your thing plugged into the HDMI to a monitor or something, getting feedback. A professional would know how to do that, but the consumer grade stuff, they've just cut it in the product. So it won't give audio on standby mode. So it's not a limitation of my broadcast software or the computer here, it's a limitation of the video device. So the way to get audio from outside is to leave the door open like it is this morning. And it's cold in here, chilly in here this morning. The block's coming along well. I had lots of time yesterday afternoon here in the shop. The shop was busy, but we had enough people to handle the print parties. So I sat here at the bench during the afternoon. The street is a one-way street for the traffic. You'll never see cars coming towards the camera here. It's a one-way street, too narrow for two-way traffic. but there's an exemption for bicycles. So motorbikes have to honor the one way, but bicycles don't. They're allowed to go both ways. We're hearing a lot of stuff that's outside of camera view there, the coffee shop across the street. This is Sunday morning. And the community people, Sunday morning is cleanup day. Here on the Merchants Association, we have our monthly cleanup every first Tuesday of the month. But the Neighborhood Association has their weekly little bit of garbage pick up and stroll around and check on things and stuff. It's mostly a bunch of old folks just getting together to pass the time of day and stuff. And they do that Sunday morning. And they were doing that this morning while I was getting this set up. And they've just had their Sunday morning coffee in the coffee shop. I think that batch of people we just heard chatting was them. They're splitting up and getting back to their normal routines. So that's just off camera range. A couple of hours from now, that street out there is going to be busy, busy, busy. It's a sunny Sunday, and the Saksa will be jumping. A few hours from now, that's going to be one of the busiest streets in Tokyo. Someone's asking about the block. What is this? Can you pop this up for a minute? I got a better sample of the print itself. This is the PSD file from John. So for the newbies here who don't know what's going on, the picture on the left, you can see there's black lines and there's color lines. And the block that we're carving right now is the block that does the black lines on the picture you can see over the left here. With a couple of exceptions. I know this is maybe the one I've got here, the picture from John, this thing here is maybe the first draft or second draft, I don't remember. So a few things have changed. There's a line down here. John decided to put it into the black key block instead of on the blue. And that's actually still up in the air. I've carved it here on this block, but when we do some color blocks and testing, it could be that I'll take this line off here and leave it just in blue on the water. See the line here, the one that goes round and zoom, 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 zoom. It's in blue over on the sample on the left. And I'm not quite sure how many color blocks we're going to have here. I think John has got me up one too many. I need 3 pieces of wood carved on both sides. So 1 key block and sort of 5 color blocks. And I think he's got me one too many. Yeah, the dashed lines is just the edge of the paper trim. Of course, it's showing the size of the actual print. That's where we'll be cutting it later on. We're going to print 2 prints on 1 piece of paper, slice them in half. It's funny though, because they will go to the same place eventually, but 6 months later. But yeah, the dotted lines are just to show the paper size. What did he say? Victoria, the capital of BC. Scrap of conversation. The dimensions of the print image and paper size. I don't remember. It's going to be, I think that's, the paper's 17. The paper is 17 centimeters. Well, you can see from my hand, shall The paper is 17 centimeters long, and I think it's 6.5 centimeters wide. So altogether it's 13. 13 by 17. And we cut them in half, and out they go. Yeah, this is a needle. It's not a regular cutting tool. It's a sewing machine needle. You can perhaps see the gullet that was in there. It's just a filed down sewing machine needle. Reservoir prime. A real chisel. The steel is very hard, and if you try and bend it or chip or poke with it, it breaks, snaps. This is for slicing and cutting. We also need one that just pries. So it's not a regular. In case you're curious, that wasn't the lady in question. Similar shoes there. You said you saw a guy with a yellow bag yesterday. The yellow bags are the Don Quixote shopping bags. The Don Quixote store down at the other end of the street has yellow shopping bags. So sometimes a day, every second person walking along the street has a yellow shopping bags. So don't automatically assume it's the same person. So. They're open 24 hours a day. 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever you name it, go in there and get your stuff. 24 hours a day. The doors open today to help get the sound from the street, but it also, of course, airflow. There's a restaurant behind us on the same block. In fact, our rear window butts against their rear window. And, they're preparing, obviously I can smell it now, they're preparing their sauce for the day. They're quite a famous restaurant. They do what's called here in Japan Yoshoku, Western food. And in this particular area here in Asakusa, it was quite famous for Western food back in the 1960s. Western food meaning the 1960s Japan idea of what Western food was. And this is a place that does, what's their specialty? It's meat plates, like a hamburger steak they call it. And everything is doused with dollops and dollops and dollops of red ketchup. And the ketchup bottles are all lined up. They've got a counter there with seats. These counter seats are the real hard to get seats because this is a really, really famous place still. and you have to, I don't know, line up to score one of the counter seats. And behind the counter, on the shelves above the counter, are these giant, all in a row, soldiers, giant bottles of red ketchup. I know any modern Japanese restaurant that deals in Western food, French or Italian or whatever, doesn't do this. But this particular style from the 1960s, Western food was equated with ketchup. And this place is still famous for it. And people still line up to come here. It's more of a nostalgic restaurant now. People that knew it in the 60s will come and bring their kids here so they can taste this thing. It's kind of bizarre. But my God, they're famous. Lineups, lineups, lineups every day of the week. They're closed Thursdays. What's their catchphrase? Umasugiite moshiwake arimasen. I forget exactly what it is. It's we apologize for being so tasty that you can't bear it. They wear like white chef's hats and stuff like that, and it's sort of a semi-parody of what a restaurant could be or should be. But my God, they're famous. They're friendly people. They're really cool. But if you're in town, please don't even think of going anywhere near the place, unless you like ketchup, I guess. Whatever. Oh my God, I've missed all the conversation. Chuk, 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 chuk. Ketchup, ketchup. Yeah, John, no, Soka, Soka. Actually, I was going to chat with you about this last time, John, you were here, because you went to, talking to John Becker here from Tennessee, when he was here last time or the time before, he went with somebody else, somebody who was showing him around part of town, and they went to a local theater near here. Not a theater as in movie theater, theater as in people up on stage and doing stuff. And that theater and this restaurant would go together perfectly. It was a kind of a, I don't know how to describe the theater. John can come in and do it. It's a Showa era, Taisho Showa era, quasi melodramatic. I didn't even know where to start. Overacted, bizarre mix of kabuki and Western movies, and there are people who die for it, love it. The fans line up on the street outside to get the autographs from the stars, and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. But it's as I forget the word John explained when he went to see it. There's one word that encapsulates this perfectly. It'll come to me in a minute, whatever. But anyway, to eat at Yoshikami first, and then to go to this theater. would be just the classic, the classic Asakusa visit for the old time Asakusa, you know. Overacted, you'd have trouble stopping from laughing. And if you broke out laughing, you'd be in trouble because the patrons are really serious. Cheese, can I say it's beginning to end cheesy? I don't know the best word to describe it. I've never actually been there and sat through a performance, but Asakusa used to be like that for real. Now there's only just these few places left over, and people maybe go to see it more for a nostalgic Asakusa than for a living, real Asakusa. I'm missing this conversation. I'm getting work done now, you know? Getting work done. Go onsen. Yeah, that would be the Asakusa day, you know. It's 3 or 4 things. What would you do if you were trying to do the nostalgic Asakusa? Showa 1960s, 70s, whatever. You'd have to, where would you go? I'm not sure the right order. You'd have to go to the betting center, off-track betting center. That's where all the old guys do smoking and cloth caps and throwing away their betting tickets. Could have put a couple of bets on a couple of horses. That's what we have to be part of the day. The evening meal would be Yoshikami, the restaurant, go to that theater. There's a strip show, the Rokusa, it's still going, the last major strip show is still going on. Bored girls, half a dozen guys in the audience. What else would be on the daily plan? Oh yeah, you'd have to go for lunch. Maybe you could go to the Asakusa Ichome Shokudo. It's one of those old. It's not a cafe. It's a restaurant. It's a. You go in the front door, and on the left-hand side there's a bunch of little windows, and you lift up the flap and you pull out the food you want. What do they call them? They used to be popular. I forget the name for it. You get a tray, you pull the stuff out of the window, you go down, you get your soup and your rice, you go sit down and eat, and there's cigarette smoke filling the place and whatever. They used to be really popular all over the country, and now there's just one or two left here and there spotted. They were really big in Kansai, Osaka. This is maybe the last one in Tokyo, I don't know. You could do a nostalgic tour. Then somebody mentioned onsen, Jakotsuyu, the public bath around the back here. Lots of guys with tattoos, no problem. It would really be you could make a tour of this. And then of course Hoppidori, you sit on the outside on the famous street, just where the camera is, points the other way. Automats, I don't know if it's the same thing, you know. The automat scene where New York and stuff like that was a whole wall of these things. This wasn't so much like that. You go in there and there's whatever, it's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 high by about 6 across. It's not a whole wall of it. There's a guy behind it just cooking and filling and cooking and filling and putting him in as he goes. It shares the automat concept with the flap. You open up the door. Where am I? Yeah, retro tour of Asakusa. That's the sound that dominates life on the street these days, you know. Suitcases. There's 3 or 4 sounds that dominate our day. One's the suitcase sound. Next is, you won't really hear it on the stream because it doesn't start till about 10 o'clock or so. Actually, it starts just about the time we close the stream, around 9:30. There's a vaudeville theater 2 or 3 doors down from me here that runs all day on a comic pairs, duos, stand up and do their slapstick. In Japan it's called O Warai, laughing. And those guys tout it. They all day long, the kids who are not on the stage at that particular moment, they do the touting for their friends. So they stand outside all day long. They've got banners and pamphlets and whatever. Oh, what I come and watch the funny comedians. And they shout and shout and shout all day long. The final show starts at 4:30. I think they finish at 5. And that's our soundscape on this street all day long. 7 days a week, starting about 9:30, going to about 4:30. And I was chatting one day, not long after I'd been here, I was chatting with the guy who runs the theater, and I made a real big mistake. He's friendly, it's okay. He didn't get angry at me or whatever, but I said, shit, that's kind of noisy, isn't it? All day long, you guys really have to do that. And he, in a friendly way, he chewed me out. He said, you don't know when he's like swearing, you don't know the history of this place. You're new here. This is a theater street. Back in 1920, this was one of the busiest streets on this planet. There were hundreds of these guys outside touting every building was a theater. They're all trying to get people in, and throngs of customers. In an era, it was like there's no TV, no radio, nothing. This was a major, major entertainment district. And you see pictures, and after he told me that, I learned a bit more about it. I looked it up, got some books and pictures. And he's right, this street was just thronged with people. You couldn't freaking walk down the street. And the noise must have been insane. These guys all touting, come and watch our strip show, come and watch our Shakespeare play, come and watch our kabuki. It was a total, absolute mishmash of stuff. So I'm complaining that these kids are touting their theater. And he's like, you don't get it, man. You don't get it. You don't like it. You don't belong here. And fair enough. He's right. I'm the new kid. I'm the new face. And part of what he's doing is pride, to try and rejuvenate that and bring it back. It's too bad for us. It's of no interest to Westerners and their theater, because it's all slapstick comedy in Japanese. And there's not one joke in 100 that you would get unless you really have a good knowledge of contemporary colloquial Japanese. Because it's puns, wordplay, talking about contemporary events, The Japanese equivalent of talking about Trump or something, whatever. And if you don't know language and the culture, you don't get it. So. And I don't speak Japanese well enough. I speak normal Japanese and can communicate. But to get involved with this stupid punny jokes, no, I don't know that. Not to mention it all goes by extremely quickly. Oh, Ishikawa-san. Good morning, good morning. Hello, hello.
ちょっといい話で、
はい、はい、we're live でしょ It's okay. はい。
あと2色なんです、JJ の5月がね。で、この間の青いのは
5
月のイメージじゃないでしょ。灯籠の
そうそう。
ちょっと濃すぎる
そう
し、
そう
冬のイメージがするから、5月のイメージで緑で、
まあ草色、
若草
まあ若草、
若葉とか、
うん
その辺ね。
ですが、
5月のイメージね
6回ぐらい重ねてありますから、そんなに薄い緑じゃないですね。
が出ませんって言ってんのじゃなくて、もっと濃くしてくれ。
だから6回重ねるとすごい濃くなるんですよ。だから
あんまり濃くなってないんだよね、今のところ。あとの最後の2色でバンバンと濃いのが菅さんのも来てるんですよね。それまではあんまり、結構薄いかな、私の。
そうですね。だから菅さんの見本見だとブルー、
そうだ、ブルーだね。あれはちょっと冬だね。
それからちょっと濃いですね。
そうだね。だからもっと薄くして緑で5月でってイメージね。分かった。
でもまあ森の中でしょ。だから it is green、緑の中に囲まれた感じですが、今の次のテストは絶対薄い方が、
そうだね。じゃあ待って、ちょっと待ってくださいね。
She's here early. Ishikawa-san usually does a later shift. She comes in the afternoon, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, and stays till late, sometimes 8, 9, 10 o'clock. That's her family schedule. Today's Sunday, so I guess whatever, her daughter's off. Oh yeah, no, they have a dog to take care of, so her daughter takes care of the dog today, my guess. Ishikawa-san, come see. They're doing test printing on the 5th print for the JJ series. The 4th one is pretty much wrapped up. It's in the freezer, finished. I'm talking about green Dave Jumper. No, the green for the print. The 5th print is a forest scene that Jed has done for us. I don't think he might have put it on his Insta a couple of months back. I didn't take her paper out because she didn't put it in last night. What she's doing is she started yesterday this test printing, and it's a 2-day process. She did the first half of the colors yesterday, second half today, so it didn't need to go in and get frozen. It's going to be finished and dried this morning, so it wasn't concerned. I'm talking about the green, and what Jed has given us is a sonata in green. There's 8 color blocks, and they're all green. With one gray, whatever, they all green. And they layer. And Sugi-san did a first test using a lot of blue greens, and it just didn't work. It looked blue. So Ishikawa-san is trying another test with almost no blue this time. She's doing lighter greens. We're going to see how it goes. And it's a bit of new territory for us. Jed has layered like 8 times green building up, and it's a tough one to figure out. Okay, I think we're going to do a bit of light tapping here. Don't panic. I'm going to pick up the hammer here. Just these areas are a bit too large to pull out with the chisel, so. I'm missing a whole bunch of the conversation here. I'm sorry, lots of it going by today. Relax, just a tap, tap, tap. No massive banging here. Take it easy. Feel here. I'm not even putting a bench dog in. Tap, tap. See, painless, deしょ? I'm thinking about this new camera setup with the camera pointed outside. I've done it these last 2 days because I do this on the weekends by myself. There's no side man here. Cameron doesn't come over. But tomorrow's Monday. We're back to the sort of normal schedule. Cameron comes along and joins me roughly halfway through the stream. But I'm thinking about the camera setup here. What's more interesting or what's more important? Suppose tomorrow Cameron is back and I bring the camera back inside. So for the first half of the stream, it looks at me from the other side of the room, and then when Cameron gets here, the camera shows he and I talking. But might it be more interesting just to do this, leave this second camera outside, even on those other days when Cameron is here? Camera, blah, 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 blah. In other words, if I left the camera outside tomorrow, then when he gets here, what we would do then, I guess, is we would turn the laptop so that it faces him so he can read the chat and talk. But then you wouldn't see me, you'd be seeing Cameron. So you see my hands, Cameron reading the stream, and the camera outside would stay there. Would that be more interesting, or should we only save this outside view for weekends when I'm here by myself? Not sure. If you got thoughts about that, let me know about it. Either whatever, I'm not catching all the stream here right now, but post about it or let me know about it offline or whatever. What would be from the viewer's point of view, what would be the most interesting video setup, camera setup on a day-by-day basis, the time when I do have Cameron come here during the stream? Not sure what we should do. He's always felt a bit silly about that we turn the computer to face him and people see his face, and it's not really anything to do with the stream, of course, but he does need to be able to read the chat and see what's going on once he arrives here. If we're going to do more work with the camera outside, I think we'll get a better stand. We'll fix up some kind of box where the camera goes inside the box, and I can maybe shield it from the sun a bit better. I'm not quite sure. Maybe get a bit of a wider lens thing for it too. We don't see enough of the street scene itself. I think that's the line work inside done now. I've now got to get going around the outside and cut the second of the outlines. I think that's the inner line work is all done, I believe. Add a fourth camera, yeah, right. Yeah, that's right, too. Leaves the camera outside Cameron picks it up and brings the camera inside. That's actually a way to go, too, of course. There's no worry about the connection there. It's wired in. That might be the way to do this. Leave it outside for the first 45 minutes. And he picks up the camera and comes in. That might be the good way to go. We'll see. We'll think about that. What time is it? 9:03. We've still got a time to go here. Yeah, you could bring it in or not, as the case is, if it's interesting and stuff is zipping by outside. I don't think it would disturb us. This thing just sits here, my laptop sits here. The camera actually is on a long cable. It's not tight, it's not wobbly. It's HDMI, good solid connectors. HDMI connectors go ka-chunk. Okay, let's get going. Okay, next step, the inner border. There's a double border line here. So the inner face of the inner line is cut. Now we cut the inner face of the outer line. Street's coming alive now, eh? We've been up there. 8 o'clock we started, it was still pretty quiet, but the street's coming alive now. There's a real rhythm to this thing. I mean, of course, most streets in any place, same thing. Got a bit of waver in it there. I think we're okay. I got them straight, I think, mostly. Am I okay to do this? Who knows, whatever. As I said, the worst that could happen is the local cop will come along and say, look, please, put this away, okay? Nobody's going to come along and cuff me. If you see me in cuffs being dragged down the street, phone somebody. Now the first one was easy to keep straight because we were just cutting in bare wood, but now the second half of this line is more difficult to keep straight because there's a relief cut now. The first side we cut a moment ago, the cut that's in the wood here, that acts as a relief cut. So when I'm cutting here now, there's relief and the wood will move. And because the wood moves, my knife moves. So the knife is going to now tend to slip to the right, to the right, to the right. That's not dangerous. It's not going to slip to the left and make the line broken or thinner, but it's much more difficult to keep it straight. So instead of cutting deeply, I'm going to cut a very faint scratch on the top of the wood here to make sure the wood doesn't move. It's just, we're really just scratching the wood here rather than cutting it. And that's going to score my line, the place where I want the cut to go. And the wood isn't moving now because we're just scoring it. Go back and do it a tiny bit deeper. Now that'll give me accuracy. Just scratch, scratch, scratch. And now we just deepen up gradually both sides. Now the word's moving, you can see what's happening. And we've got it. The original cut still not deep enough, but we've got to cut once more to get the original cut deep enough, and it should maybe pop out. So there we go, out she comes. So a nice V cut here with no stress at all on the inner thin line. Well, that's relatively easy to do on the cross grain, this one. It's much more difficult to do on the long grain, because the knife wanders. The knife follows the grain and wanders. Good morning, Kawai-san. Hello. Hi-san, good morning.
Good morning.
10時何 ?10 時から2人
2人です。
?OK。今日、パーティースケジュールない ?2 人、3人、
2、2、3。
2、3。じゃあ、OK。じゃあ、今日はそんなに難しくないかな。中村さんですが、波浦の45になると、中村さんも OK ですか？ギリギリでしょ？
ギリギリですね。僕はまだ分かってないですね。やっぱ柴さんとかと比べると。
僕1週間前にあんまり考えなかった中村さん OK ですね。ベテランですが、スリは弱いでしょ？
そうですね。本当パーティー盛り上げ方はうまいですけど。
じゃあ今日ちょっと2人でやりますが、4、5になると、じゃあ私は中村さんのバカ、私と中村さんはおかしいかな、
はい、
そう彼女が
そうです
うまくなる。さっき見たものですが、彼女はやっぱり
結構飛び飛びになると、あとやっぱちょっと示しとかも、その辺も季節が変わると、ちょっと冬とか。
それ何ブレイクタイム、休憩時間に彼女がします？
中村さん示して、いい時もあるんですけど、
じゃあ一緒にやってください。
季節の変わり目とかは、ちょっとたまに僕もちょっと示したいですね。
1週間前ちょっと心配したんですね。What time is it? Do I have time to do one more? 22. Let's do one more line here, and then I got to get out of here. So what is it? Today's Sunday, tomorrow's Monday. There'll be one more stream tomorrow. I'll be still working on these blocks. I think I've got to finish this border line and I've got to go on the outside and clear it. And I don't think I'll be able to get that stuff done during the day today. So tomorrow's stream will probably be me finishing off this block, I guess. I'm not sure. Then there'll be no stream Tuesday. Tuesday I'm heading up to Ome. There's a bunch of different stuff to do. I've got to make some Hunger Club stands. I've got to go hunt up some wood. That's Tuesday, and I'll be back here on Wednesday. Wednesday will be enormous. By then we'll be doing color carving. So Wednesday stream will either be maybe a sizing stream upstairs or it'll be color carving on this block. I'm not sure. So I'm not sure. I don't think it's a full day's work tomorrow on this. I've just got to finish these borders. That won't be a full day. So maybe, not sure. We'll think about what to do tomorrow. This carving, maybe we'll have some show and tell or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll work it out tomorrow. But that I will be here is probably set. Okay, let's leave it there for now. For those of you who didn't see it before, this is the print that we're making at the moment. You can see the block currently being carved here is the block that is the black lines on the image you see to the left here. Street's just coming along. It just started to get interesting and we're leaving. Sorry, can't help it. That's what it is. Okay, I'm off. See you tomorrow. Get to work. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll have a look at the stream later on at lunchtime or sometime during the day. Bye for now. See you later. Okay, let's shut this down. There's some yellow donkey shopping bags coming up the street.